Hey guys, so I'm going to react now to King Kong, and since I watched Godzilla vs Kong, and I thought it'd be fun just go and rewatch kind of the original King Kong to see what it's like. I think I've seen it before, maybe, but it has been a very long time. I also, I'm planning on doing Doctor Strangelove and then also Forrest Gump. I just have to find the movies. I don't want to pay extra for them, and they're not on the streaming services I have. So once I can find find those movies, then I'll get those reactions up. So, with that being said, like I said, I remember the Godzilla vs. Kong movie more than I think this one, if I have seen it. So, let's get right on into this video. Overture. So this is from 1933. Is this just like what would play before the movie started? Instead of doing previews, they just had this before the movie started. I do like the music. So the overture took about 4 minutes. Fay Wray. Every time I hear her name, I just think of Rocky Picture Horror Show, the song with Fay Wray. And it's just so every time I hear her name, that's what I think of.
Waited. Oh, this is the skipper, Weston, a theatrical agent. I guess you met Driscoll, the first mate?
You know what's interesting about watching like older movies, more like from like the before like 1950s? They kind of have this feel to them. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like a lot of them are slower and I guess a lot quieter. I don't know if that makes sense. Some of the like more modern movies, they're a lot louder and they're a lot more action and faster. So watching the earlier movies, it can be kind of relaxing no matter what the genre is.
Holy mackerel, do you think I want to haul a woman around? Then why? Because
one thing I don't miss about older movies are the attitudes of that time period.
The public wants a girl, and this time I'm going to give them what they want. I don't know where you're going to get it.
I love how they're acting like finding a woman is like, it's like searching for a lost artifact. As if there aren't plenty of women around and female actors. Unless you don't think that women can act.
Hey! Taxi!
Just takes her off just takes her away. No questions asked.
I guess you don't think much of women on ships, do you?
No, they're a nuisance.
Well, I'll try not to be.
You've been on the way already. Bring that ladder aboard!
Seems like a charmer.
He's for Mr. Denham. He's going to make some tests of me this afternoon here on deck if the light's right.
Yes?
So do they end up together by the end of the movie? Because I remember in like the remake King Kong, Peter Jackson's remake, the character's name were Ak and Jan, and I think they ended up together.
Oh, this is no place for a girl.
I wish you wouldn't keep harping on that. It's very mean of you.
What I find hysterical is that, like, the old-fashioned attitude of determining what is a good place for a woman, because it really does change throughout the years based on what men want. I'm actually doing some coding right now, and I was reading about how coding used to be a woman's job. It was, I think, kind of considered menial and stuff like that, until men started taking the jobs, and now it's become viewed as a man's job. So it really does change throughout, the decades, what a woman's place is, especially like I said before, like in the kitchen. I always find it funny when someone said to get back into the kitchen, because there are men, Gordon Ramsay, who make their money off of being chefs. So it's really, you know, just playing that throughout the years. You know, a woman's attitude of what a woman's place is changes based on what men want. So that's my kind of feminist rant for today.
Denham? I'm gonna do some butting in. What's your trouble,
God,
Driscoll?
I'm tired.
When do we find out where we're going?
Just got my second shot, and I think I'm starting to feel the effects. I just got off work as well, which doesn't help at all.
I've got enough troubles without a love affair to complicate things. Better cut it out, Jack. Love affair. You think I'm gonna fall for any dame? I never knew it to fail. Some big, hard-boiled egg gets a...
What I find funny is that they act like the female character is such a burden, as if, you know, we don't got like these male characters who are completely fucking useless in like a fight, stuff like that. But because they're men, then
Oh, that's fine, Ann. Now we'll try one with a filter, eh?
Do you always take the pictures yourself?
or this is when they were silent pictures, right? They didn't have any sound.
There's no chance for you, Ann. No escape. You're helpless, Ann. Helpless. There's just one chance. If you can scream, but your throat's paralyzed. Try to scream, Ann. Try. Perhaps if you didn't see it, you could scream. Throw your arms across your eyes and scream, Ann. Scream for your life. What's he think she's really gonna see?
It is interesting to see how they take, you know, they would shoot film. You had to act more with your body during the silent film era, because you couldn't convey it with sounds. You couldn't convey it with words, so you had to convey it with body movement.
All right, boys, let's go. Take it easy with that camera. Okay. Plenty of ammunition for those guns? Yes, sir. Be careful of those bombs. All right, Franks, now we get a look at Denham's Island.
So, I looked it up, and says the film Godzilla, the original one, was made in 1954. This was made in 1933. You gotta wonder if, like, the aspects of Godzilla, like where there's an island, you know, with natives who kind of worship this, you know, Titan, if they got the inspiration from King Kong, you know, with the island and the natives worshiping this Titan. At least that's what I kind of thought when you know, discovered Kong Island. Skull Island, that's what it's called. Or Skull Mountain, or whatever.
Costco! Costco! He understands you, Skipper. What is he saying? Telling us to get out.
It's very lucky they had someone there who could talk to their language. Yes, whistling as you go will definitely make you look less suspicious.
I guess I love you.
So romantic. Talk about a whirlwind romance, huh? Stop motion animation. Interesting way of doing it. I can't help but remember, like, when I was watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, when they have the ice creature, just the expressions on the ice creature's face reminds, you know, the expressions on Kong's face reminds me so much of that character from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So obviously just stop motion. I'll admit, I am kind of interested to see how they combine, like, the stop motion and then also the actress, how they did that. Was it like, they used like a hoist or something Or is that also stop motion?
Come on, that got him.
I mean, it's obvious a green screen. So obvious. Wonder what animal sounds they used for the creatures. Man, Kong is just, putting her in all the worst places, isn't he? No matter where he puts her, there's always some animal trying to kill him or to kill her. Okay, this is just kind of wild. Just having him pull off all her clothes. Once again, no matter where he goes, there's always something trying to kill her. It's actually pretty, I guess, cruel. I guess more violent, I think, than I was expecting.
Of Kong and his captors. All right, boys.
This whole spectacle and all this, and really just treating Kong like nothing but a sideshow freak. He doesn't really make me feel bad when Kong goes batshit insane. Of course they're not gonna die. It just has to be Kong. Yeah, this Kong definitely seems a lot less likable than like some of the more modern versions of Kong. I think throughout the years he became like a fan favorite, and so they made him a lot more likable than this version. Do notice that on Kong you can see some of the fur moving, so I'm wondering if they did that to give it some movement and make it look like more realistic. We get to actually see his fur move and get some of the light reflecting off of his fur, kind of give it more life.
Carl Denham.
Denham? Oh, that's the man that captured the monster.
Well, Denham, the airplane's got him.
Is he actually going to pay for anything? He's the one who brought him here. Is he going to pay for any of the damages? Held any responsibility? Or are they just going to let him, get away with just bringing a monster into the city and everything? Guess so. So that was the end. I won't say I necessarily loved it or anything like that. It's probably because I've already heard this. I've seen the story so many times that there wasn't anything real new about it. It was interesting to see how kind of they did the kind of the effects. You could tell in some moments they were actually just on a green screen and the actors were just walking across the stage, and as it was like the screen was rolling, or they were walking on a conveyor belt as the screen was rolling, something like that. And then the Kong, I think they used stop motion effects, and it was interesting. It's so similar to like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because they also use stop motion animation. So like with the ice monster, so it was kind of interesting to see how similar those were. I'm wondering if the ice creature took from the Kong. Yeah, I think like with the stop motion, I think they not only did like the movement to everything, I think they did kind of move the fur around, kind of giving it a life of its own to make it more realistic, make it more live. Maybe maybe I'm wrong, but and I think they're like light of reflecting off of the fur. So it was kind of interesting to see how they did that and everything. So let's look at some trivia on the 1933 version of King Kong. I think it can be interesting. So Marion C. Cooper's first vision for the film was a giant ape on top of the world's tallest building fighting airplanes. He worked backward from there to develop the rest of the story, starting from the ending and going to the beginning. Gross 90,000. Its opening weekend, the biggest opening ever at that time. The success of this film is often credited for saving RKO Pictures from bankruptcy. So, King Kong's roar was a lion's roar and a tiger's roar combined, slowed down, and ran backwards. So I was wondering what exactly they were using for his roar. The tree and plants in the background on the stop motion animation sets were a combination of metal models and real plants. One day during filming, a flower on the miniature set bloomed without anyone noticing. The error in the continuity was not noticed till the film was developed and shown. While King moved, a time-lapsed effect showed the flower coming into full blossom, and an entire day of animation was done. Kind of funny. The one flaw that remains in the animation, the way Kong's fur seemed to be moving constantly, showing where the animators had to grab the figure to move it. Though the animators would brush the fur constantly to hide the work, it's still shown in the finished film. Many other filmmakers who have used the same technique actually admire the flaw because it shows that the work was done by skilled artists using their hands. I actually thought that was intentional. And I don't think it was necessarily a flaw. At least for me, I think it kind of gave life to the Kong. It kind of made it look like it was moving, even though, I don't know, it just made it feel, because it was like stop motion and it was moving. I guess because I knew it was stop motion animation, so I knew it was like just this clay figure, and so I think it kind of adds to it because it makes it feel more real because it's moving. For the scenes of Anne and Kong's hand, the hands were attached to a crane and raised 10 feet. First technician put her in the hand and closed a finger around her. Then the hand was lifted for filming. She would later say her terror in these scenes were real. The more she struggled, the looser the hand's grip grew. When she thought she was about to fall, she had to signal Marion C. Cooper to stop filming. Oh my god. The film was successfully reissued worldwide numerous times. Some claim it was the first ever re-released film. In the 1938 reissue, several scenes of excessive violence and sex were cut to comply with the production code enforced in 1934. Though many of the censored scenes were restored by Junus Films in 1971, including censored sequence in which Kong peels off Fei Ray's clothes. One deleted scene has never been found, shown publicly only once during a preview screening in San Bernardino, California in 1933. It was a graphic scene following Kong shaking 4 sailors off the log bridge, causing them to fall to a ravine where they were eaten alive by giant spiders. At the previous screening, audience members screamed and either left the theater or talked about the grisly sequence throughout the subsequent scenes, disrupting the film. Marion C. Cooper said, "It stopped the picture cold, so the next day back at the studio I took it out myself." When describing Kong to Fay Ray, Marion C. Cooper said, "You'll have the tallest, darkest leading man in Hollywood." She thought it was Clark Gable. The 2005 DVD restoration further details the risque liberties of the 1933 pre-code film release in 2 scenes. The first is when Anne is on the ship's deck while Charlie's peeling potatoes, and the second is where Dunham is shooting some test footage of Anne Scream for Your Life and Scream. The thin material used for Anne's dress and gown in both scenes made it obvious that Fay Wray was not wearing a bra, a wardrobe decision that may not have made it past the Breen Code the following year. The old Arabian proverb opening the film was actually written by Marion C. Cooper. The two-legged lizard that creeped up out of the canyon towards Jack Driscoll was actually meant to be an astosaur, a reptile from the Jurassic period. However, because of the high price of amateurs, the metal skeletons for the puppets, RKO cut costs by not having hind legs made for it. As a result, the astosaur has 2 forearms, no hind legs, and a more snake-like appearance. Authors Daniel Laxton and Donald Prothero, in their 2013 book Abominable Science, argued that the UK release of King Kong in the spring of '33 led directly to the supposed sightings of a sea monster in Loch Ness, Scotland. The first sighting of the supposed Loch Ness monster occurs within 6 months of the film's release. The description and blurry photos of Nessie that emerged from '33 on seemed likely inspired by the scene in King Kong in which the prehistoric water beast, a meat-eating Brontosaurus, attacks the searchers on a raft. Fun fact, I actually own Abominable Science, and I love it. It's actually just looks at some of the cryptodes that are popular, so like Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, all these different cryptoids, and the kind of the realism or the factuality behind them. So it kind of looks at like what may have inspired, say, Nessie, looks at the claims and like the people who made them and whether or not they were like con artists, stuff like that. It was actually really fascinating. Great book if you want to go read it. And I thought it was funny it's actually mentioned in here. Scenes cut over the years of release and re-release, Kong chewing on the natives of the island, 2 scenes with Kong squashing 1 native, each with his giant foot, the Brontosaurus fighting and throwing the man in the water, Kong putting a New Yorker in his mouth and throwing him down on the ground, a scene where Kong climbs a building, pulls out a sleeping woman with a giant hand, examines her, and when he finds it's not Anne Darrow, tosses her down to the sidewalk below, and of course, Fay Wray's clothing being peeled off. The censor committee once stated that this was at least 6 minutes of editing. These scenes were all restored in actual film in '71, although the famous or infamous Spider Pit sequence was yet to be found, although the King Kong 2005 gave an idea of what it was like. Also, the 2005 DVD release of the 33 film has Peter Jackson's recreation of that scene. So yeah, I was kind of wondering if that's what inspired that scene. Peter Jackson putting the supposed sequence that was cut from the original. This film, along with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Laura and Hardy movies, were thought to be Adolf Hitler's favorite. In his 2013 book, The Collaboration, Hollywood's Pact with Hitler, Harvard scholar Ben Ornwand documents how George Geisling, the Nazi Party's special counsel assigned to monitor Hollywood films, thought the Scary Monster Ape movie might possibly be an attack on the nerve of the German people, but there are other examples, M, 1931 being a notable one, where Nazi leaders privately liked and consumed works of art they condemned and censored in public. Sensing a huge hit from industry buzz, MGM offered to buy the film outright from RKO for $1.72 million, approximately $400,000 over its negative cost. Figuring the little studio was reeling from losing $10 million plus in '32, RKO was smart to decline the offer. The film smashed audience records nationwide, ended up grossing $1.761 million during its initial release. RKO was periodically and extremely profitably re-released the movie through the 1950s. Marion C. Cooper and Ernest B. Schwartzak had been wrestlers, and they acted out the fighting moves for the battle between T-Rex and King Kong in the effects studio before the animators shot the scene. The T-Rex hissing was achieved by combining a puma scream and high compressed air. The Brontosaurus sounds was created by grunting into a double-chambered gourd? I think that's what it's called. Marion C. Cooper was partially inspired by W. Douglas Burden, who brought the world's first captive Komodo dragons to the Bronx Zoo in 1926. Cooper was intrigued how the once mythic massive predators quickly perished once caged and displayed for the public. The whole idea allegedly originated from Marion C. Cooper, who had a dream about a massive gorilla attacking New York City. Marion C. Cooper filmed the actors and actresses. Then Willis H. O'Brien projected the image one frame at a time on the screen behind the models. That's how they filmed Kong's removal of Anne's clothing. Originally, Cooper had wires attached to her clothes to pull them off her body. The model's movements were then matched to hers. Unfortunately, O'Brien and Cooper forgot to patent their approach, thereby losing a fortune. It took a year after the actors and actresses were finished for Willis H. O'Brien to finish the effects work and Marion C. Cooper to get the film put together. Between her work on this picture and its release, Fay Wray made 4 other films. Most of the dialogue between Captain Eaglehorn and Native Chief appears to be gibberish, but when the chief offers to buy Anne Darrow, Eaglehorn is clearly heard saying "Tidak," which is Malay for no. This makes sense since the island is described as being off the coast of Sumatra. But wouldn't them being isolated kind of, when you're isolated, say for like with Britain and America, the languages eventually diverge because they're so, they're separated from the mother language. So wouldn't their language kind of diverge as well, so that even if he does know Malay, the skipper, doesn't mean that they would understand that language. The remakes, King Kong 1976, King Kong 2005, show Kong with some temperament as in the original film. In the less popular sequel, Son of Kong 1933, and the successful distant cousin Mighty Joe Young 1949, the production code of 1934 was a strong influence on the script for the central characters, as they were friendlier and less destructive. I'm assuming that's why he eventually becomes more likable. Is it because of the production code of 1934 that makes him more likable and less destructive and violent? Look that up. Bruce Cabot, Jack Driscoll, quite a ladies' man, had a bit of difficulty being awkward in his scenes with Fay Wray. It does kind of come off that way because he's very tries to become very, he's like, when they first are like on deck, he's very gruff and kind of dismissive of her. And then like the very next scene, he's like very charming and likable. So I was kind of thrown a little bit by that. So that's probably why it was. The whole film was shot over a period of 8 months. Fay Wray was able to shoot Dr. X, The Most Dangerous Game, Mystery at the Wax Museum, in between her King Kong assignments. Yeah, I think I saw The Mystery at the Wax Museum. It had Vincent Price, right? Should rewatch it now that I've seen her in this. The reason for the wall and large gates on Skull Island is because the Kong race, there was a race of apes on Skull Island in the past, helped build the wall and gates under the direction of the islanders, the Kong race was controlled by certain herbs and helped the original villagers build the wall engaged to keep the dinosaurs out on the other side before the movie took place. Interesting. So, they talk about how they would control them with certain herbs. In Kong vs. Godzilla, they used berry juice. Well, they use it to knock him out. And I think they might use it to kind of control him as well. I'm wondering if this is inspiration for that as well. It is often credited as an error that the Brontosaurus, if that is indeed what it is, eats at least one of the sailors, which a herbivore wouldn't do. However, during the attack in the river, the Bronto picks up several men in its teeth, but tosses them aside back into the river. It later plucks a man out of a tree, shakes him like a dog with a toy, then crushes him into the ground, but at no time is it shown or implied that any of these men were eaten. So, I was kind of wondering that as well, because, you know, it looked like a herbivore, big body, long neck, small head. It doesn't eat, meat. I was wondering if they're just taking liberties, but if they never actually eat them, they just kill them using their mouth. Kind of interesting. So the body count of this movie is 40. Seems a lot smaller than it looked like in the movie. Maren C. Cooper had been a wrestler as a youth, and Wallace H. O'Brien had had several amateur boxing matches. This experience is evident in Kong's fight with the T-Rex. Kong puts his left paw up to guard his face, as a boxer would do, as he hits the T-Rex with the right cross. Kong also uses the well-known wrestling move Trip Out and Snapmare during the fight. Kong finally wins by climbing on the T-Rex shoulders and pulling its jaws apart. This move will later be popularized as a Rocta Ride by professional wrestler Angelino Rocca in 1940s. A common mistake made by audiences is when Kong takes Anne into the cave where he fights the cave water monster. Was that a water monster? I thought it was a snake. Many people describe the monster as a snake when it's in fact a Plesiosaurus and has defined fins and body rather than being completely serpentine. But yeah, that was trivia for King Kong 1933. So really, really interesting reading about it and having some of my questions answered. And so yeah, that's it for the King Kong movie. Don't have much else to say about that. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel, get notifications for all my videos I'll be doing. And if you have any suggestions about any videos, just leave them down in the comments. And yeah, that being said, you guys have a nice night. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you later.